how much did I actually make? How much did Amazon actually pay me out in May of 2018? They paid me out 2 payments totaling 11 grand, $862.01. Now, what were certain things that I expensed on the business? What were my total expenses and what did I write off? Now, we always talk about the commissions and fees. They always add up to 129. I think it's Jungle Scout. It's because I do some private label sourcing. We're going to talk about that in a second. And this is all online arbitrage, guys. This is 11,862. I have 2 Amazon accounts, one for private labeling and one for online arbitrage. That actually does have one of my private label products on that online arbitrage account, but it makes me like nothing. It just kind of nets. So that's like the commissions and fees that I spent and wrote off on the business. Now, $250 in advertising. The reason I spent $250 in advertising, I usually only spend I usually only spend advertising on Amazon, which is Amazon pay-per-click, when I'm doing private label products. However, there were some products that were just sitting at the end of my inventory. I think there was about 10 to 20 of them that weren't selling and didn't have, I sourced them poorly. So they either had a high bestseller rank, they weren't selling, or there was a problem with a certain listing. And so I wanted to test it out because I never ever spent money on advertising only on my private label products. I never tried to do it for online arbitrage products, and some of these I had quantities of like 3 or 5, and I think the one I actually had 10, if I remember correctly. And basically what I did is I threw PPC money at it to kind of test it out to see if I could move those for a profit. Obviously, I couldn't. That's why I don't do it very much, because I don't know. It takes a while without getting too much into the PPC aspect of the Amazon business. It works for private label because you can kind of hone in your PPC, right? So whether you're starting with manual or starting with an automatic campaign, and if this flies over your head, guys, it's okay. You don't need to know any of this for online arbitrage. We're talking about private label stuff here. With the online arbitrage, it doesn't work as well because you don't spend enough and you don't have enough quantity of those products to hone in your PPC to make it profitable. If you have 1,000 of certain, a quantity of a certain inventory, obviously it behooves you to figure out how to get your PPC profitable. When you have, even 5 or 10 of a certain inventory, it doesn't make any sense. But I figured I would test it out because, I kind of wanted to see if that was an avenue. Now, for all the online arbitrage students or people that ask me questions, I just suggest to either destroy it or pull it out of your inventory, sell it on eBay, Mercari, or Poshmark, or just throw it out, whatever you want to do. Usually you're only eating maybe $20 to $50, but if you're doing online arbitrage like I teach it, that will be, literally just like a fly, kind of annoying. It's not a big deal at all. Moving on, now office expenses. I think I bought the whiteboard behind you in May. I literally just looked at it, and I don't remember the other one, which is a shame because I literally just looked at it. Bought the whiteboard that's right behind me. Now I have 2 of them. And I think I bought something else for the online arbitrage business. It might have been like a mannequin or something to hang clothes on when I sell on Poshmark. I really don't remember. I literally just looked at it, which is terrible. My memory's horrible. But that's literally all I expensed. I didn't do any contract labor. I didn't hire anybody in May to, manage my listings. I didn't, outsource to a prep company. And people always ask me, can you do online arbitrage from anywhere in the world? Yes, you can. Is it easier in the US? Yeah, of course, because you don't have to use a prep center, although you can if you want to scale it up and, not, unpackage stuff and you want the prep center to do it all for you. By all means, you can. And if you're scaling up, that's something, that we can talk about eventually. But, you can really realistically make 5 to 10 grand every single month doing it all yourself. It's actually pretty easy. And I only spend an hour or 2 a day max sourcing and packaging up certain things. It doesn't take much work at all. But I didn't outsource it to a prep center. I didn't use anything like that. But if you are outside the U.S., you can still source on the U.S. market. You can still sell on the U.S. market. I just suggest instead of ordering to your house, you order to a prep center. The prep center is going to do the same thing for you for a slight cut of the profit. So it's anywhere usually from 50 cents to $1.50. Realistically, you want to get 50 cents to $1. There's prep companies out there that will literally sign into your seller account and do it all for you. Or there's prep centers out there that will just, literally package the boxes up and you can send them an email with the label and they'll slap it on there for you. It's very, very easy to use, but obviously it gets easier as you build that relationship with the prep company. And that's pretty much all I expensed. So total was $11,862.01. The total expenses that I wrote off were $534. Now that does not count the cost of goods. So my net income before the cost of goods was $11,328.01. Now, cost of goods. What did I actually, the purchases that I made? 95% of that was probably coupon products. Some of them might have been other things for Poshmark, Mercari, or eBay. But like I said, the majority of stuff I do is online arbitrage sourcing with the coupon sites. So I spent $3,547.16 for cost of goods between my bank account for my business and my bank account credit card. Sometimes I use my credit card, sometimes I use my business bank account. It varies depending on where I'm sourcing or, what I'm doing at that time, but that's the total of what I spent. So let's do the math. Let's see how much my take-home pay was. Let's see how much my profit was, because, and I talk about this a lot, and I know I hammer it home, but it's because a lot of online entrepreneurs make this mistake. You didn't make $11,862.01, which obviously is what the payouts are showing you that you made. You didn't make $11,328.01 because you obviously spent money to get those goods, which you're flipping for a profit. So what was my actual profit? What am I going to be taxed on? What do I have to pay taxes on? And what's my take-home pay? So $11,328.01 minus the cost of goods, which is $3,547.16. Equals a grand total of $7,780.85. That is the profit. That's what I profited from online arbitrage. That's not what I made. That's not my revenue. That's my profit. But I have to pay taxes on that. Now, I always take a conservative estimate because I push conservative estimates to you guys because I would recommend that you pay more in taxes initially. You don't want to pay less because then you're going to end up owing. We don't have the luxury of, working for a company that takes our taxes out ahead of time before they pay us. We have to account for the taxes that we pay when we actually make the money because you have to pay taxes on that. This was a big mistake that I made literally like my first 2 months or so on my first year with entrepreneurship. I didn't account for any taxes I had to pay. I didn't realize that, and it was a lesson that I learned, and I don't want that to happen to you. So I always recommend paying accounting for 40%, although I got a lot of shit in the comments, people saying, how do you pay 40% in taxes? I don't pay 40% in taxes. That's just what I'm recommending that you set aside. I always recommend that you set a little bit more aside rather than a little bit less. You don't want to take 20%. Now, a lot of you might only be paying 20% in taxes. It obviously depends on where you live. It depends on your state. It depends on your income tax level, the bracket that you're in. I smacked that hard. Big lessons here. So let's take a conservative estimate of 35%. You might be taxed 30%, and obviously you have to pay your federal, your state, and your local. But let's just take a conservative 30% for everybody and just say that you're only going to make 65% of that because you're paying 35% in taxes, right? So let's multiply 65%. I totally messed that up. Let's redo that, Jesus. $11,328.01 minus $3,547.16 in cost of goods times 0.65, because that's your take-home money, which means that you got to take home $5,057.55. The rest of that, $7,700 or whatever it was, you're paying in taxes. So obviously, I've talked about setting up a business bank account and how you can auto-deduct these things already, so you don't have to worry about it, because if you don't see it, then technically did you really make it? And it's really easy to set up. You just set it up with your bank so it auto-deducts a certain percentage out every single payment, so you don't have to worry about it, so that if $5,000 comes into your bank account, you can spend $5,000. You can pay. You can buy a Lambo if you want to do that. You can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to account for that.